Heyo everybody, Haku here with this week's read-through for Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku, or Magical Girl Raising Project ACES. I'm super excited to read. I'm loving ACES so far. Chapter 1 was so good. Like, it was really, really good. So, I'm gonna split this one into 3 parts because I'm already kind of behind this week. And just in general, I think I want to make these videos longer. I would like to read for longer each week. But doing 3 parts or 3 videos per chapter, I would still get done with this arc pretty quickly. And we've already gotten through a good amount of arcs this year. So I kind of feel okay with the pace we're moving at. I would like to read longer. But at least for right now, at least for this chapter, I'm splitting it into 3 parts. That means the videos are probably going to be a little bit on the shorter end of things. But it's just because I'm running behind on stuff right now. And just to help me balance things and pace myself. The word is leaving me that I was going to use. But yeah, just to help pace myself so that I can actually get things up sort of on time-ish. But either way, yeah, let's read chapter 2. I'm excited to get into it. Also, I'm probably going to be checking my recording software a lot because I recorded a video before this and it was getting a little messy a little bit. So paranoia and not trusting it, probably going to check it a bit. So yeah, either way, let's go ahead and read chapter 2. We're starting with, it says seizing good luck, and we're starting with Fleh. Fleh. I must say, it's quite bold for the kidnapper herself to come in person for negotiations. Oh, yeah, this is only 31 pages, so I'm going to end at the end of page 11 here. Next video, I'll end at the end of page 20. And then, yeah, the end of the chapter will be the end of the 3rd video. Just wanted to go ahead and let you in on that. I must say, it's quite bold for the kidnapper herself to come here in person for negotiations. The wheelchair magical girl, Fleh, typed lightly on her mouth as she made a sharp turn on the carpet, looking at the person in front of her. Princess Deluge. Naturally, she knew that name. She was one of the man-made magical girls that was developed in the underground laboratory. Currently, she's the only known survivor of that incident. The incident had become a topic of the senior managers within the Land of Magic. Grimheart had caused the incident to try and take advantage of this man-made magical girl project. Sorry, just seeing Magical Girl Project kind of screwed my brain over there for a second. Grimheart attempted to deprive any research on the matter with all of her power, yet some magical girls had stopped her. Her strategy failed, and everything continued on. Grimheart and Shufflin were said to have died in an accident. This is the only information on the table Fleh had so far. Ooh, and we get to see a illustration already. We get to see Deluge and Fleh here. I like it. I love when we get to see actual illustrations. Okay, moving along. I had to take that in for a second. Now the very same... Look at... Gosh. Deluge is just so cute. Now the very same man-made magical girl was trying to intimidate Fleh. The bodyguard that she had hired, Patricia, was taken out, along with her subordinates. Shadowgale was kidnapped, and now the kidnapper has contacted her. It was early in the morning when she was contacted by Deluge, and once Fleh accepted the negotiations, Deluge herself came immediately after. The place of negotiations was Fleh's office, which meant Deluge was jumping straight into the tiger's den. But Deluge didn't even hesitate. She had all the negotiation materials at hand. She was extremely confident, meaning she knew of the relationship between Fleh and Shadowgale, so Fleh couldn't afford to negotiate poorly. The face of Shadowgale of Momori appeared on Fleh's mind. She rubbed her forehead. She tried not to think about Shadowgale as much as she could. There weren't many people in the Land of Magic that knew about Fleh's relationships. It wasn't something that she thought Deluge could have figured out easily. Was there someone backing her? Well then, what are your terms? I want you to help me. I don't need much. 2 or 3 people is enough. In exchange, you'll get something powerful. What are you planning on doing? That's none of my business. You told me that I'd gain something powerful. Power is completely dependent on the situation at hand. You can't just offer me something powerful without telling me why it's powerful. Right. I realize that if you fail, the possibility of Shadowgale returning isn't high. So, you should know that I'll do my utmost to help. So, you'll be extremely cooperative? Don't worry yourself on that. Now then, your objective. Puck-Puck's child, the magical girl Premium Sachiko. The Ask faction's aiming for her. I'm gonna steal her from them. Impressive. Straight to the point. I'm surprised. You kidnapped someone to negotiate with me, but only suggest we kidnap someone else. Not just anyone, but someone related to the three sages. You're putting yourself right between two of them, too. Do you think I look scared? Of course you should be. This isn't something a normal magical girl would think about. You understand how serious your request is, I hope. What I understand is none of your business. Damn. I know this is far too forward, but at this point I'm a fellow conspirator with you. If you have other like-minded people, you'd best get me acquainted with them. Premium Sachiko has left Puck-Puck's manor. I have some information that she's hiding in W City. This is bigger than any other incident. Both the Puck and Ask faction don't want the other to capture her, so they've sent their elites to collect her. I want someone who can steal her right under their noses. Oh. Once again, Flea observed the magical girl in front of her. Her facial expression, breathing, sweat, words, remarks, all of these elements are capable of showing what kind of person you are. If she remembered correctly, Deluge was a magical girl that didn't have any records of being a magical girl. She was calm and composed, only thinking about her plans ahead. Perhaps this was what man-made magical girls were like. I accept. Let us gather our magical girls post-haste. Ah, man, I like this. That was really good. And now we're at Princess Deluge, on page 5. Nobody had told Deluge what kind of person this Flea would be like. Many magical girls were effective in their jobs, but being someone in the Human Resources Division was something that she didn't expect to hear. She wasn't interested in the relationship Flea had with Shadowgale. Flea was just someone she could use to fulfill her objectives. However, just now when she talked, she could sense that Flea didn't seem like a victim at all. Her responses were beyond her expectations. She didn't know how low she would go, nor did she know how suitable she was as a negotiation partner. Deluge pulled herself together without changing her facial expressions. Now, she had to focus on what she had to do. Deluge's feet began trembling. She didn't know exactly how she was like after the incident. All she remembered was that she was covered in blood and sweat and that she was asked questions. That was it. She was told who survived and who was killed. All the pure elements except Deluge were killed. The questioner didn't even have the decency to speak of it with care. Afterwards, there was a long blank gap. It seemed like a month or so had passed, but what has she been doing since then? Who was she with? Where was she? She could only remember ambiguously. All that's left is a blurred memory of living in some house somewhere. She remembered the one girl that cared for her was a magical girl. She felt human. Sometimes she felt like Sometimes she felt like only one took care of her. Sometimes she felt like there were multiple. It felt like whoever cared for her had a pet in the house, but Deluge saw no animals. They felt like good, kind people. Somehow she remembered that. I like this because her feeling like someone was human and her feeling like there was a pet in the house is probably references to Mana not being a magical girl and obviously Tepsikemme. Whoever cared for her had some circumstances to take care of, so Deluge had to be moved from her temporary housing to a place she would call home. She'd been processed by the Land of Magic, but her reactions haven't changed at all. This part she remembered well. 3 times a week, roughly taking around 4 days every time. Okay. 3 days a week for 4 days a time. That doesn't add up math-wise. 3 times a week, roughly taking around 4 days each time. She was always asked to come to the Research and Development Division. Deluge's role as an experimental subject was still not over. In that facility, a magical girl named Bluebell Candy always took care of her. That's probably the candy machine looking girl. So, I guess that means Sachiko isn't the... I was guessing Sachiko was probably the candy machine looking girl, but I guess not. One day Bluebell heard from the other magical girls and understood what Deluge's role was. She said, "This has nothing to do with man-made magical girls. Deluge is a magical girl just like us." Somehow, Deluge understood that they were talking about her whenever they were talking about man-made magical girls. She paid attention to her surroundings. Sorry. Okay. Oh, okay. I was just taking in that sentence again because I was confused for a second. If she paid attention to her surroundings, perhaps Deluge would have noticed sooner. All the magical girls that looked at Deluge had a strange look on their face, as if Deluge had a strange incongruity that didn't belong. Before Nami Aoki even became Princess Deluge, she always had that kind of feeling. She didn't want to be excluded or to be bullied, but what was her opinion? Was she determined that she'd be trapped? Was she going to stay the way she was in life, like she did in the classroom? She had no time to spare this past month. She didn't go to school, she just lived and cried. She used the information that she's gotten while chatting to find Inferno and Tempest's houses. She brought incense sticks, then found a sketchbook in one of the closets. All their families grieved. She heard that their memories had been altered, but she couldn't cover up their deaths. Inside the sketchbook, Deluge's friends were still putting on that unchanging smile. Deluge spent I like that we're still getting the memories of the pure elements carrying on, because I loved the pure elements. Deluge spent most of her time on her bed and seeing that sketchbook. If her parents were here, they'd probably tell her to quit being like this after about half a month, which Deluge herself had strongly noted. Still, she continued to cry. She couldn't talk to her family or anyone else about all this. She couldn't have anyone stop her from feeling the sadness, misery, pain, and anger. Since it was difficult to find a place for Deluge to stay, Bluebell invited her to live in the Research and Development Division's main building, where Deluge stayed in the break rooms. Ever since she's lived there, she's always been thinking of her friends, the other four pure elements that she'd spend time with together. The energetic and bright elementary schooler, Princess Tempest, the active and overachieving high schooler, Princess Inferno, the gentle and dependable college student, Princess Quake, and then there was her classmate, Prism Cherry. Why did it turn out like this? Where was Professor Tanaka? Why was she the only one who made, she was the one who made them all into magical girls? The pure elements were supposed to be the ones to fight the disruptors to save the world, so why were magical girls killing each other? She remembered Filaru always caring for people until the very end, being killed because she still showed kindness to the enemy. She was killed and Deluge survived. Why? Prism Cherry raced off toward the enemy, saying that there was something I needed to do. She was never good at fighting. Whenever they sparred, she just smiled ambiguously. She chose to face the enemy of her own will, and she too was killed. No one who deserved to die had died, and no one who didn't want to die survived. Alright? Everyone wanted to live, but they were all killed by magical girls, Grimheart and Shufflin. By the time she got up, her emotions weren't that of sadness, they were of anger. Bluebell told her that Grimheart and Shufflin had been arrested. There was no one who could fight them anymore. Even if they were to escape, they'd always be caught again. The pure elements, who were supposed to be the saviors of the world, were barely even legendary heroes to begin with. They were just victims, created by some rogue to become stronger. Why were we made into magical girls in the first place? Would Prism Cherry know the reason? According to Bluebell, Prism Cherry was a natural magical girl. Natural magical girls didn't have to take medicine. They were able to stay in their forms forever if they wanted to. Natural magical girls didn't need a princess jewel to transform either. Natural magical girls couldn't combine their powers to do an ultimate princess explosion. Natural magical girls didn't fight things like disruptors. They helped out across the city with smaller scale deeds. This is really good. I love getting into Deluge's mentality. Bluebell taught her everything. The only person that took care of the occupied Deluge had been Bluebell. The Research and Development Division's main building was always stuffed with magical girls as well as visitors. Everyone was always too busy. The only one Deluge could talk to was Bluebell. The building looked like a business office, and the people inside were just as busy as businessmen. Sometimes Bluebell would use her powers to create candies that could change her mood. She'd make a beautiful green candy ball in her palm, then urge Deluge to eat it. "It's not poison, is it?" she remembered asking once before placing it in her mouth. The candy melting away and disappearing upon touch. Its taste was neither good nor bad. There was almost nothing to it. Still, when she ate it, she really did feel better. Every heavy feeling in her chest disappeared. although only for a bit. Still, it helped. So, drug dealer magical girl Bluebell Candy. When Deluge told Bluebell, she replied with "That's wonderful." Deluge smiled as well. That was probably the first time she smiled since the incident. Somehow, eating it made her remember Prism Cherry. She remembered worrying if Prism Cherry's powers would ever be useful. Then one day they planned on maybe causing extreme sunlight energy to blind the disruptors. Hearing the idea made Prism Cherry happy. Bluebell's candies weren't just affecting her mood, it somehow affected her atmosphere as well. It was hard to put into words, but it's as if she could see a figure of Prism Cherry right before her. Obviously, seeing it would make Deluge remember her. Even though she was happy about it, it was difficult to accept. Deluge had been acting together with Bluebell more often. There were things that only Deluge could do, and there were things that Bluebell was very good at. Together with Bluebell, somehow she was able to remember being together with her friends. Deluge couldn't deny that. At noon, she'd be with Bluebell. At night, she'd be alone. Once she was alone, the illusion that she was with her friends collapsed instantly, leaving Deluge sitting on her bed. Quake was gone, Inferno too, Tempest as well. Cherry was gone too. Everyone was killed by official magical girls. When she raised her head, she saw them all, but when she reached out, they disappeared. She could see them, hear their voices, but they weren't there. She went through this every day. Her friends were gone. They were killed. That's when Deluge came into contact with her conspirator. Man, I love that. That was a good scene, or a good sequence, whatever you want to call a break where it just focuses on one character. That was good. That was so good. And now we're back to Flea on page 9, almost done for this video. And Flea says, "Come in. I don't know if it's Flea saying it, but Flea, come in. Excuse us." After a knock, Flea invited her guests. Leading the group was a black costume magical girl. Following her was a magical girl with large glasses and a magical girl with a white scholar's outfit. Okay, so the one they're working with, the black costumed one, is maybe the armor girl they mentioned before. Maybe not. Maybe the armor girl is still with Shadow Gale. I'll have to again look back at the designs because it's been a couple weeks. But I remember the scholar outfit one for sure. It's been a while. Likewise, the scholar and the glasses magical girl seem to be happily bowing their heads at Flea. Honestly, though, this is something big, isn't it? Getting Patricia involved and all. I heard she's been beaten down, and one-on-one too. Really? I thought that girl was born to fight. She lost one-on-one? The scholar spoke first, with glasses replying. Though the topic was grim, they were still quite relaxed. She lost her whole unit too. Wait, Patricia lost her entire unit? Their dialogue also looked like a 2-bit comedy. They used new demons. Oh no, guess it's too late to go home? Well, yeah, what do you expect when you get a salary without work? Wait, what, you expect to get a salary without work? The scholar was Monoshiri Michan. The glasses girl was Glacian. Okay, so Monoshiri Michan and Glacian. At first glance, they didn't look like magical girls who could fight. Even veterans could be fooled. That's why they were able to live ordinary lives among ordinary magical girls. Unlike those two, though, the other magical girl was mostly clothed in black and completely silent. As for her appearance, she's appeared in an anime before, and unless the area was covered in darkness, she stood out among magical girls. Famous people tend to attract attention, even if they just wanted to do something normal. According to the rumors, she's withdrawn away from society, but even a magical girl needs to work a job, even if they were recluses. When these three needed to work, Dark Cutie would be their leader. Okay, so her name is Dark Cutie. That's adorable. That's one of my favorite magical girl names so far. I like the other two's names, but Dark Cutie is adorable. Patricia was a good person, Dark Cutie muttered to no one in particular. Good guys get killed by villains. That kind of talk won't get us anywhere. She's right. Let's move on. Who's this person? Michan, Glacian, and Dark Cutie turned their gazes at Deluge. Deluge took in the gaze of all the magical girls at once without changing her expression. Flea slightly lowered her head as she looked at Deluge. Flea began to speak. For this job, you'll be under her command. You'll help her achieve her objectives, and overall you'll provide her support. The three magical girls now looked more vigilant. They looked away from Deluge. Michan began asking questions. This objective of hers, would that be a request from Human Resources? Ah, but of course. In the end, Michan was only confirming if her client was really the Human Resources Division. So, Flea's kind of lying to them. Kind of. I mean, Flea's giving them the job and Flea's the Human Resources Division, so it's kind of a lie. These three normally performed regular magical girl activities, but in an emergency they become skilled professionals. Even though Flea had introduced them to Deluge, hiring them wasn't cheap, and using them incompetently would be dangerous. The leader of the team, Dark Cutie, was someone who embraced the role of a villain, with pride and anger, resentment and pleasure, regret and joy, a sense of both superiority and inferiority. Monoshiri Michan was a born assassin, able to sneak into enemy areas and use anything at her disposal as a weapon to complete her mission. Glacian was able to stay at base while simultaneously viewing the enemy's whereabouts, even in their deepest territories. Oh, so was she Magical Glasses Girl then? There were magical girls who were straightforward in their methods. They were magical girls who weren't straightforward in their methods. Naturally, you shouldn't use them so straightforwardly either. Fled joined her hands together and called out, "Well, since you'll all be fighting alongside each other, I believe introductions are in order." And it looks like we'll get those introductions next time probably. But I'm going to end this here. Like I said, this and the next two videos are maybe going to be a little bit short, just doing the chapter in 3 parts because it's already 3:30 and I need to post another video before I can post this. So if I want to get this up today, it's going to be a bit, and I'm already a day behind, I think, at that. So yeah, that's why I'm keeping it here. I love this though. So we have Patricia, who was on her own, and taking her out of the equation, we have 15 more. So we have the Flea team, which essentially at this point is Flea, Shadow Gale, the Armor Girl, Deluge, Glacian, Monoshiri Michan, and Dark Cutie. So that's 7. That's like half of the remaining cast working together, even though Shadow Gale's kind of a prisoner at the moment and all that. But you get my point. So 1's down, 7 are working together. We have the one that they're all after, which is Premium Sachiko. And then of the remaining 6, Shufflin is working with Hamuel, or at least this copy of Shufflin, or whatever the case is going to be. But yeah, we got Shufflin and Hamuel, and then... So is it just those 3 left? Who am I missing? Oh, and I didn't count Bluebell Candy is maybe potentially working with Deluge. I don't know how directly she will get involved, but maybe count that as part of Deluge's group. So that's 8 then. If we're counting Flea and Shadow Gale, the Armor Girl, Candy and Deluge, plus these 3 new ones, that's 8, plus Patricia's down, plus the other one ran away. Premium Sachiko ran away. And that leaves 6 more characters then. So we have Snow White is working with obviously her 2 teammates here, being Uluru and Sarami, and then we have the 3 working together, we have 2 working together, being Hamuel and Shufflin. So is there still one more we haven't been introduced to then? There might be one more we haven't been introduced to, or I could be forgetting some. Or I could be miscounting or forgetting someone. But yeah, either way, gonna end the video here. I really enjoyed that. I loved seeing into Deluge's mind a bit, and I'm already really interested in Dark Cutie, Glacian, and Monoshiri Michan. So thank you for watching. Like if you like the video, comment down there, tell me what you thought of the first part of this chapter, what you thought of my thoughts and reaction to it and all that. Subscribe for more Magical Girl Raising Project, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel or talk to you there. If you want a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us there, just ask and I can give you a link. And lastly, if you want to help support the channel on Patreon, there will be a link in the description with everything else. That would definitely help keep the channel going. So yeah, that's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.